Here's one thing that I'd change in every single COD Zombies map. Just before we get into the video, please consider subscribing, it really helps me out a lot. Nacht or untoten. There's a lot you could change in Nacht considering it's the first map in the franchise, but I'd put the spawns closer to the barriers. In this map, it takes way too long for the zombies to get through the barriers, and I feel like you're waiting half the time. Just moving them a little bit more would help you out a bunch. Verrucht. With Verrucht, I'd add a new wonder weapon into the map, something like the thunder gun that gets all the zombies away from the tight corridors. Shino Numa. In Shino Numa, I would have added a larger style boss zombie, something like a swamp creature, fits into the map, and it makes that map a little bit more challenging. The Doris. In Doris, I would have added a reward for doing the flytrap Easter egg, maybe a free pack-a-punch weapon or a free perk, because the only thing you get is just an achievement. Untoten. I think Untoten would have been really cool with a bigger outside area, maybe the area outside the front of the theater. 5. I would have loved to see a better version of the Winter's Howl in 5, because quite frankly, the gun is ass. Maybe some form of ice minigun would have been cool. Call of the Dead. Call of the Dead needed some sort of suit that could stop you freezing in the water. When killing George Romero, this would be a little bit easier that way. Although it would have been really OP, it would have been nice to have. Shangri-La. I think Shangri-La needed a bit of an easier way to get Pack-a-Punch. Map's already hard enough as it is. Maybe just giving us Pack-a-Punch or spawn and all we needed to do is turn on the power. It just would have made that map a little less tedious. Ascension. I think Ascension needed a way that you could lock down a perk on a monkey round. It would have just been really helpful to solo players. Moon. I think Moon would have been really cool with a bigger Area 51 spot, and potentially the Area 51 spot having rounds as well. Transit. I think one of Transit's main faults is the fact that there's no weapons in the town location. Why aren't there any? Considering it's an actual town, you'd think there'd be weapons. Nuketown. I'd add traps to Nuketown, even simple things like the flinger trap and the electric traps, because I don't think there's really any good weapons that can get you up into the high rounds. Die Rise. Considering I hate this map, I'd change the whole entire thing, but I can't do that. I have to change one thing, and that would be the fact that you could stack craftable parts, and having to go around the map like 5 or 6 times just to craft a single trap is just super annoying. Mob of the Dead. Fast travel in certain areas. And they did have this on Blood of the Dead, and I don't think it was that bad, but I think a more improved system like that. Buried. In Buried, I'd add a leash that you can find around the map to tie down Leroy with. This way you'd accidentally stop shooting him. I mean, Leroy's already your bitch anyway in the game, so you might as well just put him on a leash. Origins. I think having a craftable like mud boots to help you run across the mud a little bit faster would have been quite nice to have, because these would have been quite OP. I think by having it either as a craftable or as a quest to get would have been quite nice to have, and it would definitely help the players out against the Panzers. Shadows of Evil. Shadows of Evil was quite perfect in terms of maps. People thought it was a little bit too hard, but I think the one thing that I changed the most out of it by making the Easter egg achievable on solos. That is one of the biggest faults for me on Shadows, because it is one of my favorite maps. The Giant. This one's very simple. I would have just added the Widow's Wine Machine. The Eisendrache. The Eisendrache is pretty much perfect. Everyone can agree on that one. There's not much you could add or change to the map, but I would have it so the Pack-a-Punch machine doesn't move around. Setsubo no Shima. The amount of doors that you have to buy, we need to reduce them by a significant amount. There are so many doors on this map, and it is so annoying. Gorod Krovi. I would have just made the Easter eggs so much more simpler on this map. I mean, this is my #1 favorite map of all time. Sometimes I think the Easter eggs just a tad bit too hard. Revelations. Now, considering this was the finale, I don't think we got too many locations in this map, new and old. We got like a handful of throwback maps with literally 2 or 3 unique locations, and that's why I'd add either more unique locations or more throwback maps. And by more throwback maps, I mean putting a little piece of every single map we've ever played before on the map. As I said, considering that this was a finale, it wasn't good enough. 9. I think 9 needed more gladiator-styled wonder weapons, considering it was in a gladiator coliseum. Maybe 4 different elemental weapons like we got with the bows and the staves. Voyage of Despair. I think a more open area to train, maybe on top of the docks, would have been quite nice. This map was very tight and compact, and I don't really like maps like that all too much. To have a spot that you can train on is really nice. Blood of the Dead. I think the Hell's Retriever and the Redeemer need to be an extra slot instead of taking up your lethals. Otherwise, they're both completely pointless, unless you're doing the Easter egg, but realistically, no one wants to do the Blood of the Dead Easter egg anyway. Classified. A more casual-friendly Easter egg. This Easter egg is way too hard for no reason. Maybe just cap it at 100. Around 100 for the Easter egg would have been nice. Dead of the Night. I think a better PAP location would have been better. The woods were really boring, and I think they could have just done a little bit better with that. Ancient Evil. I would have added more on-topic mini-bosses into the game. The Catalyst zombies were awful. Maybe just some more godlike figures. Something like that. Just anything but the Catalyst zombies, if I'm honest. Alpha Omega. This map needed a large boss zombie. Maybe some sort of robot mannequin, something like that, because I don't want to be killing 3 different types of Nova Crawlers. Tag the Toten. Tag the Toten needed the scavenger. Why didn't it have the scavenger? Or for fuck's sake, give me the VR11. Give me something. That map is probably the worst map in COD Zombies history, and that is even over Vanguard Zombies. D-Machine. I just completely get rid of the coffin Easter egg dance. It was probably one of the most cringy things Call of Duty has ever done. Firebase Z. I'd add more of the assault waves. They were actually a really great addition to that map. I wouldn't have liked them in every single COD Zombies map, but I probably would have sprinkled some more bosses in there, things like that. Mauer de Toten. In Mauer de Toten, this is a very simple thing. I would have liked to see elevators in the map. Considering a lot of these are like apartment buildings, you'd think there'd be elevators. It's a thing that we've seen in COD Zombies before, and I would just like try to see more of them. Forsaken. I actually really enjoyed the map Forsaken. It's probably one of my favorite maps in Cold War. But the one thing that I would change is the Pack-a-Punch location. I would have put it somewhere absolutely crazy. Maybe chuck it in the Dark Ether. I think they had so much potential there, and keeping it up in the Watchtower where it was, I think is just kind of lazy. If you got to the end of the video, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.